Congratulations, viewer, because if you're watching this, then you are in for a treat. Because if you didn't know already, the Cannonade is a way stronger weapon than people might even know. I feel like this weapon got a bad rap. It did really low damage day one. I defended it in a super old video that nobody watched, and honestly, since then, it just never saw a lot of use because it's kind of an expensive to operate weapon in general. But recently, in the 12.0 update, I think I've said that a million times on my channel now, it was among the many weapons that got a huge damage increase, and nowadays, this thing is a monster. A lot of the gameplay you've seen has already been shown in my recent video on how to buff the mag size on these weapons by a ton. I highly recommend watching that in the description below because that hero loadout is a great way to buff the mag size of this thing and make it way more effective than it is already, but I'm going to make it quick on this one. The Cannonade is one of those steampunk weapons that has a 6 perk where on a hit it splinters shrapnel, dealing damage to enemies behind them, and that might not sound like that big of a deal, but it really is because it just adds to the overpowering area of effect damage that a launcher already has. By hitting multiple targets and fanning out to affect even more targets just makes this thing super useful in crowds like encampments. This weapon could actually be a primary weapon. With its accuracy at range and the fact that it's a fully automatic rocket launcher, it just has like nothing holding it back. So the best perks for the Cannonade are really straightforward. A lot of people would want to roll crit on this. I was tempted to when it first came out, but I stand against it for a couple of reasons. First off, it's not going to be doing a ton of damage. So you're going to want that triple damage to just make sure that every single shot counts. There's nothing more complicated than that. There's no 6 perk that you need to match. Just triple damage reload is what I recommend. You can go quad damage if you are an absolute fiend. I never recommend doing that because you're going to want at least a reload and maybe a mag size. If you're using the loadout I suggested in the description below, then mag size might be a very good way to go on this thing because it'll have north of 40 bullets effectively inside of its magazine before reloading, which is basically enough to get rid of an entire encampment. However, I prefer reload as a more general build, so I can use this on loadouts that, aren't that one. But if you really want to go crit, you can understand that, you do have a chance to crit on every single target you shoot, and with how often this thing fires, you do have quite the few opportunities to crit. I'm not personally one who really enjoys putting crit on explosive weapons. This ammo is expensive, and I want every single bullet to count. So I don't advise for that, but you absolutely can do that since it is technically higher DPS, but when it comes to a rocket launcher, I mean, everything's just going to get deleted anyway, and that's literally it. I used to recommend durability on this weapon, but since they've changed the way durability works and they've added a rocket ammo type, there's not really any need to go for durability anymore. You will get a lot of shots out of this thing. Obviously, if it's your primary weapon and you're firing off as many shots as possible, then yeah, you're going to burn through a lot of rockets, but I really wouldn't recommend durability because ammo is going to be a lot more expensive than crafting this weapon will be. So that's pretty much it. You can go double reload if you want to go absolutely insane, but at this point I'm just making up stuff to talk about because this weapon is so fun that I just want it to be as interesting as possible. As for the element, same as usual. Energy is best all around, physical if you're in canny or lower, and then of course the specific elements are meant to be for people who really know what they're doing and they want a specific element. Link to my guide in the description below. That's it for the Cannonade. I'll give it its praise and I'll give you the perks, but honestly this weapon just speaks for itself. It is just a powerhouse. I cannot stress the fully auto part of this enough. You will have so much fun with this thing that you're just going to run out of ammo and not even know what happened. And if that does happen to you, then link to my how to get every items video in the description below to refuel your rocket supply if you need to get coal or blast powder, get some of that rough ore taken care of, not a problem. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and have a nice day. And then